Please be sure to sign in, check the box if you'd like to speak. And we'll start the meeting with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second motion. Roll call vote. Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Heineman?
Yes.
Mr. Beasley? Yes.
I'm going to make a motion to pay the bills as presented. I'll second.
Roll call vote. Mr. Heineman?
Yes.
Mr. Beasley? Yes. Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
I have the bank statements from September. Everything's in balance. The initial furnishings.
Give it, Tom.
Okay, I'd like to offer Resolution 2014-1013, which is a revise to the appropriations for all funds. We've run out of money in some areas, and we have to tell the auditor how we're going to pay bills. The two big ones are for the recycling, because we didn't plan on the tire drive originally in our budget. We got money in, but we had to spend money out, so we got to tell him that. And the the road department, for the truck payment, we had to increase it by $8,800, but that was covered by the $21,500 we got for the sale of the truck. So we're just again reporting. So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion for the amended appropriations to the auditor.
I'd like to second the motion to amend the appropriations.
Roll call vote. Mr. Beeson?
Yes.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Heineman?
Yes.
Bob, you need to sign that. And we had one cemetery lot to transfer, actually two lots to transfer. David G. Williams is transferring two of his lots to his son, Kevin D. Williams. So, need to sign the transfer of their certificates. We also sold two lots at Bunker Hill New, and I need these two certificates signed also. And lastly, under old business, I got another statement from the Village of Beloit for that EMS transfer that was going to be taken care of 2 months ago, then 1 month ago. And I want to know what the fire department wants me to do with this, because I'm tired of getting bills that I won't pay. It makes me look bad, like I'm not paying my bills. But it was supposed to have been resolved, and it hasn't been.
That's what they even went
talked to the people, and they said it had been resolved.
Who said that?
Larry Barnett, the chief.
Did he get with the people sending the bill and
And
straighten it out?
yep, that's exactly what he tells me.
You want this?
Yeah, let me have that, please.
Take it in and get it
That's-
resolved.
Yep, that's the second time I've talked to him, and it's supposedly taken care of, so.
That's all I've got.
Okay, Jim.
September totals, used 168 gallons of fuel, put 1,059 miles on the trucks. And the other things I had to talk about, I see you got it on the agenda, so I guess I'll wait.
Cal Road.
Cala Road,
We can
just
talk about it now, that's
see if
fine.
you guys come up with any other ideas or any decisions or set aside any money to do any patching up there. If nothing else, I'd like to be able to see if you could figure out if we could get at least 2 loads and fix up that worst spot, because it's getting pretty bad if we don't do anything else. But I hate to waste the asphalt on it, because what we did 3 months ago from all the truck traffic is already busted out of there.
No, since I've been up, and I've been busy too, but I've been up about 3 or 4 times. Of course, they're all in the fields right now. They're leaving early in the morning and late at night. And I was telling Tom today too, because he's gonna ask me about checking on that payment too. And I just know where they're at too, so then we'll maybe wait here another week or so. If we're getting late enough, I don't know whether we do a whole lot this year except do some temporary on it. But, I guess my thought is maybe you and I, since you had the figures, can try and get with them here in the next week or so. It's supposed to rain, maybe we can catch them on a rainy day.
That'd be a good time, good rain day.
And if not, I think what do you figure in patch material you would need, how much dollar?
Well,
To do temporary
to-
for the winter.
bare bones minimum, the one spot is really bad right by their driveway where they go in and out. I think I could do it with 2 loads and just get us through the winter anyhow. But the problem is we're out of money in our asphalt fund, so I'm going to need some money allocated for that from somewhere. Or I would have already had it fixed up.
Right. What I'd like to do is maybe we can find something to move here so we don't have to wait for another meeting to come around, transfer some monies if we got enough to do it, in case we can't get an agreement with them to do something, so that we can have it done before the weather totally breaks.
How much money are you talking, Jim, for 2 loads?
I don't have the figures with me. I think it's like $75 a ton right now, and so if I haul 10 ton, $750 a load.
Is that $1,500?
That, yeah, roughly.
Well, yeah, the thing, a lot of their truck traffic will slow down out there in the north hall.
Yeah, I think today they're going to do their last day of chopping from what I've heard. Positive on that.
I know the road department budget's getting tight, and talking with Tom, there's not a lot of room left to shuffle things.
Do we have any places to pull a lot of in there?
I'd have to look at it, but I don't think there's a whole lot of room.
Okay.
We were really tight coming into the year, and of course we paid for part of the truck that we should have paid for last year, this year,
Right.
plus our current payment.
Right.
And the biggest reason we're short on asphalt is I used all that on Diagonal Road to patch in the trenches before we chipped it this year. I used a lot more than what I anticipated, but to do it right, we needed
Well, yeah,
what we needed.
that's not a question there. Well, with what we got from the truck, we have basically utilized all those dollars.
Not all of it.
But-
See what I can find here. Thought maybe you'd do that to me. But you're saying this $1,500, $2,000, you're gonna put in a hole and then it'll be gone by spring.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because what we put down already up there is broken up, and first couple plowings over, it'll probably be laying on the berm.
I mean, is it getting really deep? I mean, where it's a safety issue?
Oh, yeah. We're gonna have to dig the asphalt off of it because some of the spots are probably 3 inches deep. It's not gonna be a very pleasant experience to plow over it if we don't do something with it. Not to mention the residents have to travel over the road.
Right, I mean, that's one. I haven't looked at it in probably 2 or 3 weeks, so. Well, I think last I was in there was about the day they started chopping, and I haven't gone through since, so I can only imagine what it's like. Any thoughts?
Not on anything that's any cheaper.
No.
Yeah, that's, putting hot mix in, it gets hard and brittle. And that's probably what, but to go to 921,
You're over $100 a ton.
yeah, but is it the extra $25
That's why.
worth it?
Will it hold?
Because it does stay
Pliable.
more pliable, but yeah, that's, is the 921 about $100 now, Jim? Or-
Yeah, with the fuel surcharge and everything.
Jim, is there a base issue there when it gets wet, it's sponging, or is it just they're peeling it off the line and out with
They're
tires?
both,
Both.
and it's just not, what we're doing is, I mean, even last year when we patched it, we took the broom up there and swept it off and cleaned it as best we could, dug out all the loose stuff, and it's just not adhering. The whole top layer on that road is just sliding on what's there. You walk down through there and look, and it's just the top 1.5 inches just coming off.
Now, is it just going down to the old seal coat, Jim? Is
The
that-
majority of it is, yeah. Yeah, there's no mud pumping up through anything or water issues that are that severe up there because that underdrain's handling it, but it just, it needs patched in and chip and sealed over to kind of hold everything together.
Any contractors get back to you that you?
The only one that has gotten back was RT Vernal. That was,
Yeah.
as of last meeting, no one else has got back. Everybody's too busy. At the end of the year, they're trying to get finished up. And that's the other issue. I mean, if we want to patch it for now and wait till next year and see what we're going to do and try to fix it right if we come up with the funds.
Well, that's the thing, I think.
Because we just keep dumping money in it.
We need to patch because we get too late in the season to do a good repair on it. I mean, it's too spotty when the temperature's going to be decent. Weather's going to be good to do.
What I'm thinking also is maybe next year, we can get the county to come in with a paver that we can, if we have a paver and roll, we can get it down and get it rolled while it's off.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, maybe we get something to that. Because we've seen that the other day there, and I don't know if we've seen any more or not what they've done, but,
Just on Western Reserve Road.
They did them out on Bandy, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty rough.
Pretty rough out there.
I don't think they're filling holes before they're patching.
I think that's the biggest issue, is they're trying to fill the holes at the same time, and that doesn't work.
If we can get through this winter and get it patched in the spring, if they can get them, work with them to come in and pave it, might hold together a little bit better.
Yeah, well, you know, there's not that much base under the road, and as far as I can remember, there's 2 layers of seal coat. Then when it was asphalted, there was 1.5 inches put on it. So, and
we have a lot heavier equipment on there now, and it's not all one person. I mean, probably the majority of it's two different people. And
That road's not that wide either, so they're running the same tracks every time.
now, there, probably a month ago, I was through there, and they was running the center. There was nobody coming, because I pulled off in one of the well drives when I seen them coming, just so they could stay in the center. But, you know, between their trucks and the farm equipment,
I mean, just in the years since we paved that road, we got increasing the size of the equipment that's been on there. It's just been,
and that road's been, I don't remember what year it was paved. I bet it's been close to 8 years ago.
I think it was, I don't know, it was probably 3 years. 07 sound right.
Jim, you could tell by that book I gave you.
Yeah. I think it was done 2 years before I started here, and I've been here for 7.
Time's going a little faster than we all think.
Goes fast every day.
I'm estimating 8 years. It could be 7, 8, 9.
Something less than that range, so. Really, there's just nothing else we can put in there except for.
Like the one estimator from RT Vernon, when I met him out there, he said the same thing. You know, there's just not enough base under there for that asphalt to stay. That's why they recommended milling 8 inches out, filling it with base, and then just leaving it with base asphalt until we decided to do something else with it.
It'd be beneficial, Jim, to dig it down some, put some grindings in there, trying to get some base in.
I don't think it's. I just don't think the grindings are going to hold up, because
I meant just use the grindings as a base.
I really don't know. I don't think it will. I really don't.
Okay.
Not with the traffic that's up there. I think you need a good, solid, hard base. I don't think the grindings are going to hold up, because when you get moisture in there and they run them big trucks over, I think they're going to pump out, and when they get dry, they're going to fling them out.
Something like milling it and maybe doing the Portland mix with it.
In all honesty, I know it's going to be expensive, but yeah.
Right.
What do you figure? You need about 3 inches what you need to put in there then?
At least.
3 minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about just using a base asphalt in there?
That'd be fine, and then when it was time to chip and seal it, chip over it all.
Kind of thinking maybe the base would hold up better, I don't know.
We need to roll it, which isn't a big deal. We can get a roller, but the only thing is, we could probably try base.
I don't know.
I don't know how well it would bind without tack, is the only thing, because the gravel's a lot coarser.
Yeah, because a lot of the base asphalt has like 57 stone.
Yeah, it's big stone, and if you don't have a tack on there, and there's more than what we can haul in 5-gallon buckets to tack that area. It's a pretty good sized area. We were planning on cleaning it off and sweeping it again with a broom to try to get it by and cutting some straight edges to go to, but it's all up to whatever you guys wanted to do. I don't have an answer for it. I really don't. It's just a lot of heavy traffic on a road that doesn't have a good solid base under it. Without putting a lot of money into it.
You got about $5,000 left in your repairs and maintenance budget. And we might be able to squeak a little bit out of the road and bridge fund. But whatever you use this year is going to hurt you next year, so.
Another thing unless Jim just crawls down the road snow plowing, the way it is now, the plow, cutting it hits one of them spots, how much more asphalt he's going to
Right.
send away?
And I mean, the residents, what I'm worried about, I mean, there is traffic on that road, not a lot, but it only takes one.
There's a lot more than you think now that that west section's paved. A lot of people use that to cut through now.
Probably so, and it only takes one to hit that.
Yep.
And go off the road, and we don't want to see that, so we've got to do something temporary on it, but I just can't, in my opinion, I think we need to wait until next spring. So we want to do for a major repair on the road.
Anything close to the heavy traffic stuff running in and out of there for now, other than the tankers?
I believe so. Like I said, I think the chop one's going to be done, but that's the biggest issue up there versus the tankers. And the tankers a lot of times go out the other way.
I was gonna say, if they
Well, I mean, just one, not the big pit, I understand, but now I'm thinking about it.
They was coming up, we'll call it, the drive on 534 and turning and going up the hill.
Today they were running that way too.
Yeah, I think it was Saturday, seen with the tanker. And of course, they chopped that up there, what I call the brown place. Maybe that's, I don't know where they was going for sure.
Yeah.
How deep is this area that you're talking about?
About 3 inches now, I would say at least.
That's too thin to put, like, pour some concrete in there and
Problem is, you could do that, but without knowing what we're going to do next year. If you go to mill that out, you can't mill concrete. And then you'd have to keep traffic off of it, and that ain't going to happen. At least the asphalt we could roll, get it down, and they can run on it.
Yeah, once he takes the roller off, they can run it. If they're hauling that day, they can run it.
Right. My thought is we'll approve for him the amount for the 2 loads, but we won't do anything until after we talk with them up there, but that way we'll have the funds either way, so. Could even talk with them, I told them we'll do this late in the season, this patch. I don't think we want to go in there and do this major this late in the year.
No, wait till spring until you're done.
I've never had a good job that's held up this late in the year. Do you feel there's enough there without separate transfer stuff that you can pull out funds for 15?
yeah, I think, I mean, if Jim doesn't have a lot of repairs, you know, we're 2/3 of the way through the year and he's still got $5,000 there in his repairs, so.
If something happens by next meeting, and we go with something in the repair fund too. I mean, if I'm saying nothing we have to do tonight, so.
If the new truck, we should have put it on too.
Does that work for you, Jim?
That's
But you're not gonna do anything till you talk to him, right?
That's fine. We just have to, that's just something.
Yeah. I just don't want to leave it there a whole another month. Still nothing's been done, so. Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, Tom?
September, we had a total of 37 runs, 33 EMS runs, 18 in Goshen, 9 in Butler, 4 in Knox, and 2 others. And we were lucky we only had 4 fire runs. So, the county roads, Derek wanted me to tell you that the county roads still ain't in any good condition. Just a reminder, in case somebody doesn't know. Hey, the recycling bin down at the station looks good. It's been really good since
That's
I
what I
left.
wondered.
It's been very good.
Are you finding a lot of stuff there, Paul? Is that what it is, or?
Fair amount.
Yeah. And a lot of just trash, garbage, what people's leaving, or?
Some of it, I don't know why, they just throw it out there and leave it sit. I don't know if they even check the bin sometimes.
Oh, is that right?
Because I get down there and I see stuff on the ground and
tear the stuff down, and I'm able to get it in the bin. It's not like I had to bring it back. So, you know, I don't know. Dealing with the public here is live on one.
Seemed like it just happened overnight though, where it got.
It really got bad.
That's what I don't understand. They just,
Sort
You know, it
everything
only
died.
takes one or two people to really make it.
Well,
Yeah.
yes. And then if one person sees it there, the next one says, well, I'm just gonna leave it too, so.
That's,
But it's been a lot better here in the last few weeks, so.
I know when I've been down, I was out through Sunday, I try to do it on the odd days, you know, when it's been nice and clean while I've been through there. So.
Yeah.
And I don't, when you've been going, it's been looking good, so,
Maybe people read the paper and
yeah.
look at it too, I don't know. And also, he wanted to make sure the residents, anybody running through here, please wear your seat belts, and please don't do any open burnings. We encourage you not to, but if you do, don't burn trash, furniture, plastics. And like we've always said, if neighbor calls and says it's blowing, we have to go out and put it out or across the road. So please don't do that. Yeah, let me have that thing, because I guess I'm going to have to go to them personally, because that's twice I've been told that that's been taken care of.
Okay.
And
Yeah, they're nice yellow ones now, nice reminders.
that's, I guess I'll have to go talk to the council people myself, because he's been twice told, he says, I told them they have mutual aid, they have mutual aid with us, we have mutual aid with them.
Yeah.
I don't know what their problem is with that, but.
Okay. Thanks for handling it.
Hey, I mean, I tried to go through the channels, but I guess the channels ain't working, so you bypass the other channels and go directly to the problem. Find out who it is. Does it have a signature on it, who that, or is it just the council?
Just a statement, just a statement, and big pen mark said, please remit your payment. They've said that
They don't even
4
sign
times,
it,
so.
so they don't know who's up.
This Village of Lloyd contract statement, we don't have a contract with them, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good to that, Mark.
Okay,
That's
Paul.
it.
On September 13th, we had our annual Customer Appreciation Day tire drive, electronics drive. We had 455 tires, 3,561 pounds of electronic goods. Thanks go out to my daughter, Lori Wallace, and Jessica Zebernick, who were on hand as volunteers to help with recycling and greet the people and hand out the refreshments. A special thanks to Todd and Roger for dealing with the counting of the tires and collecting money. Both were there the entire day. And thank you again for that. Thanks also to Todd for providing the traffic cones. They helped us to keep an orderly flow of the traffic. The electronics vendor had mechanical problems with his box trucks, so they brought 2 pickup trucks over, and of course when they left there was still stuff there to pick up, so they came one day the following week and picked up the rest of it. As a side note to all this, I had called our our tire vendor, Harrison Associates, prior to our tire drive, and asked him if he could work with us on the playground tires, because we had 12 tractor tires we had to deal with. And normally he charges $15 a piece for them tires. So he cut us a break and only charges $9, so saved the township over $70 there. And I had taken aluminum cans prior to the event and got $98 and change. So that paid for our refreshments and supplies, and there's still $44 and change left over. So it was a good day, thanks to all. Here's the leftover.
Thanks, Paul. I had several comments too from residents, and they said you did a great job of putting it on over there, so.
Had a lot of good help.
Hey, Steve.
Okay, for the month of September, we had a total of 397 events.
for a total of 6,237 miles on the vehicles. Month already, we've already had one meth lab over at one of our local schools. So, Paul, when you're doing your thing, if you see anything down there that doesn't look right, like, Drano, bottles cut in half with paper stuck in them, heat, stuff like that, call us. The school one was a gentleman was out picking up garbage, saw a book bag, so he picked the book bag up and walked it over to our local school and said, "Here, it belongs to a student." The woman inside opened up the bag and realized, well, it probably doesn't belong here. Thank God we had one of our officers, was over there, for our school resource officer. He immediately got it outside. We got DEA came down, they cleaned it up. But there was a big container of some kind of material. I don't know what it was. We didn't mess around with it, but it was cracked on top. And if that would have spilled when he was walking down, who knows what it is. A lot of it's acid. So if you see anything down there that just doesn't look at any of your sites, please call us. Don't touch it. Don't, just, stop what you're doing. We'll get the fire department down there and then we'll clean it up. Because the problem is if you move it or you pick it up and bring it somewhere, technically DEA could say they're not going to clean it up and we have to. It's really relatively expensive. So we cleaned it up. We also had some stop down in Beloit at a house, had a partial stuff for a meth lab. We cleaned that up. So they're out there. I mean, the stuff's out there. Garbage, if anyone's throwing garbage down there, be careful if you're going in there. A lot of them are throwing needles out there now. If you reach into a bag, stab yourself with a dirty needle. If you find needles, call us and we'll come down and clean it up. We recently purchased 5 containers for sharps around here that if we get needles, we can put them in there and they're disposed of. So if you can find anything, even garbage bags, be real careful when you rip them open to see what's in them because you're not sure and you're reaching in there, you don't know what you're going to find. I thank Jim for helping us dispose of a little mess. I'm sure you had a nice little odor over there. But we had some evidence. Got an order to dispose of it from the judge, so we disposed of it. It was our 81 plants, marijuana we had, so they took it over, disposed of it. As the court said, it has to be burned and buried, so that's what we did. I'm going to ask the trustees to approve to hire Khalid Abu Gammon. Is that all right? As a reserve officer, he's a boardman. He's been out riding with us in his free time. So I'm going to ask the trustees approve to appoint him into the reserve position.
Make a motion that we hire him on as a reserve.
I'll second the motion.
Effective today
Yeah.
at $12.
He'll go with what reserve is. I'm not sure. I have to look this up.
Okay, roll call, Mr. McCracken.
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
And I think that's all I have. We had a meeting with the fire department over our last conversation. In response, it's only had a couple calls. Still on the one was a suicidal. They had to call private, but EMT came, which was relatively. Hopefully, we don't get billed for that one. Other than that, it seems like we haven't had a whole lot of calls, and so I met with Corey. Okay, and went over our concerns on a couple of the other calls that we had, and he assured me that Derek would take care of it, and we haven't had any more calls so far on this. That's it.
To go along kind of what Jim's been talking about on Calla Road here, on the northeast side of Scranton Road, the other north of Calla Road. 2 semis setting in the road, all right on the edge, taking a backhoe, going up through the ditch, loading in there. No lights on, no cones, no nothing. I know Abe doesn't do it, but they do that every year, and it's all over every place. So, I mean, I think they should at least put some cones out or some lights out. But you talk about breaking your berms down, he's done a nice job on Scranton Road down in that end, and I hate to see it get broke down again. I mean, I think they ought to be able to get it off the road, right, Abe? I mean, he gets his off, you know, and Jeff gets his off. I mean, they get it on the site. He does mine, it's in my driveway. I mean, these other guys seem to do it, so I mean, if nothing else, for the safety part of it, for somebody running into the back of somebody.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's several issues there from what you're bringing up, not just one, so.
And you got all that weight, the big semis with the thing on there sitting right on that berm, partially on, partially off, and you know, it can't be good for the berm, but then when you drive out, you drive part way down before you get up on the road.
Yeah, I mean, we can't keep them off the roads, that's a big issue.
Leaving them parked on the road, you know, while they're filling, I mean, I would think that shouldn't be good. I mean, I'm driving up I know these guys,
Well,
that's make a living.
They have a decent drive off of Western Reserve to get in there.
Good drive.
You know, and, you know, I guess, if nothing else, they could leave the lights on the truck. I mean,
Yeah, that one there.
those trucks have enough battery in them.
Yeah.
I don't care if it takes you 6 hours to fill the truck.
Yeah.
It has enough battery.
Yeah.
But they have a decent drive there off of Western Reserve.
Yeah. I mean, and I know they got the driveway, even with the old farm. I mean, that's maybe a little bit out of the way, but I mean, I come home from work the other night about 6, you know, and it was getting dusk, and I mean, if somebody doesn't, you could somebody pile into the back end of them. I mean, I just, you know, don't want to go through the root thing that he just did on Calla Road.
That there, and if you see them without the lights and so forth on, Tom, you should just call in here, have one of the officers go out, and I mean, we'll definitely let them know about the light issue. That's something that's a very big safety issue there.
Because
And I
I
can
mean,
believe it because I've seen it happen too.
Now,
so,
the field to the south, there isn't a decent drive.
yeah, that's one I've seen parking trucks along last year when I come up one night, they were along that one, but not hit the truck too well because they were unloaded and going straight over the truck and out onto the road leaders.
that way they can get off, pretty much off the road itself. But I mean, they're right on the other end. They were right on the edge of that berm. Man, I tell you what, I'm just thinking, because we just put in, that's a nice road. Jim, you guys did a nice job of putting that.
And that's an issue that we've got a water issue up there anyhow, where it's soft up through there.
Yeah.
So that's, I think they're all done in there now though, aren't they?
Yeah, in that field, yeah. Both of them fields are done. Okay.
Anything else?
Just want to remind everybody, November 4th is right around the corner. Get out and vote, because you know what, we have people dying every day that have the benefits and things that we do in this country. So, you know, I think it's our responsibility as a citizen of the United States to get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for, what you vote for, but I think we ought to get off our duffs and get out here and vote. Yes. We got a lot of stuff going on in this world, and a lot of people would love to be where we're in the position that we're at. And we just take it granted that this is what we do in this country. So whether we agree with it, whether we don't, we can do that.
Right.
But so please, everybody, get out and vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, Abe.
I can do something maybe on Calla Road over there, Roger ought to know.
You talk about milling 8 inches. I don't think there's 8 inches of material there.
Well, I
is there?
No, I think that's what Vernal was going to do.
Yes, they were gonna mill even the subsoil. They were gonna
Yes,
mill down
they-
8 inches and put 8
I was gonna
inches.
say, there's no 8 inches.
8
No.
inches
No,
of,
no, because if I'm, memory's serving me right, you got 2 layers of chip and seal. So each
Yeah.
layer's,
Right,
we're going to say 3/4 of an inch.
yeah.
I mean, size of
That's an
50
inch and a half, and you had an inch and a half of
asphalt.
asphalt.
So you get 3 inches.
You got 3 inches.
But see, they was going to go down and go into the subsoil, we'll call it,
Yeah.
and take that, that out and put the total of 8, 10 inches in.
to get a base back.
Was they planning on hauling that all the way that they're milling, or?
Yeah.
And then
Putting
8 inches
Asphalt base.
asphalt.
asphalt base, 8 inches back in there. So you had a suitable road to run on. Bring it up.
See,
You guys have any idea what that's gonna cost, 8 inches of asphalt?
Yeah, I got an estimate on it.
How much is it?
I don't remember now.
We just have holes.
No, I'm talking, I thought he was talking about the whole road.
No.
Or just that little patch.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
there's,
there's several
There's
patches.
several patches.
12 spots I had laid out.
Yeah.
Jim had them marked and Vernal come out and looked at them.
Yeah. Well, I drove across that's what he's talking about, and he's not exaggerating any, that's a bad spot. Jim.
There's approximately 430 tons of asphalt to go in there, milling and everything.
Just in what you got marked.
Just in what I had marked, it was $56,000.
Wonder if that wouldn't be a good road to, since we have so much heavy traffic and there's much space to put there with. One of the machines will take it down to 10, 11 inches and stabilize it. Like straws or somebody.
And you gotta worry about that under drain on the sides that chew into though. At the shallow
The
points.
majority of places it'll be down there by that phone thing is probably the shallowest spot.
Most places, Jim, it should be far enough away from the edge of the road, shouldn't it, Roger? That wasn't right up against the edge of the road.
No, it was, well, see, when I was done, there was a layer of seal coat there, maybe both layers, and they was probably off that
Yeah.
by a foot, and I don't know if the asphalt ended up, see, it's probably a true 18-foot now, and I don't know if it was a true 18-foot before or not.
Maybe 18 inches.
18-foot wide.
Oh, wide, okay.
When we paved that,
Yeah.
there was spots that the pavement was wider than the chip and seal because chip and seal wasn't real exact going through there, so.
Yeah, we towed it before.
Right.
Yes.
And, I mean, just something I looked at, talking with them there back when we was down in Columbus way. Because they could do a mile approximately at 20-foot wide for about 75,000. I mean, then you got to put chip and seal or something on top after that, but that would, when we're looking at 50-some thousand, just do spot patching. It's not feasible when you can do the whole road, because if we do the spots, we're gonna do spots that show up here.
You fix it here, it's gonna fail here.
So, I mean, I think we need to look at something to take care of the substructure in that road before we put a lot into the top of it.
Well, when we did it, I remember the inch and a half, and I said we could borrow money at the time to do 2.5 inches. And that road probably would have held up. I will not guarantee it, not the way the loads are now, but it would have had a hell of a lot better chance of holding the loads than that inch and a half. The inch and a half is just not enough for semis. That don't work. And there again, it just shows you when you try to make things stretch.
Well, see, we had to cut back on that because of the grant.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Bob. We got a grant to
because
do that.
Originally, it was
Right.
going to be 2 inches, and then, the county engineer, they were doing that for us, and,
Yeah, they forced us.
yeah, and they took it back 1.5 inches to get it into the figures it needed to be for the funding there.
And that's the problem. It just, when you're building road, you can't skimp.
No. Well, you know, that would have been great 30 years ago.
Oh, true. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly right.
yeah, I guess the one thing I look at, years ago, all the milk haulers had a single axle.
Yeah.
And there wasn't garbage trucks running around everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if there's any, well, yeah, Thompson still has he's got a quad axle,
Yeah,
and
there's
so
a
does
couple.
Jimmy Morris, he's got a couple, but most of them are semis. You know, you
No
start.
matter what, you're gonna have to spend a good bit of money there. If there's, I didn't realize there was 12 spots, Jim.
Yeah, I started at 5:30, well, at the bridge,
Yeah. Mhm.
and went to the railroad tracks
Yeah.
and picked out the worst of the worst, marked them out, measured them off, and met with the estimator out there.
Well, I'm afraid what's gonna happen, and that's the rest of it. You get that fixed, and the rest of it's gonna blow apart on us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm looking at is,
What Bob's talking about might be
Yeah,
more feasible.
it'd be a process very similar to what was done on the other side of 534.
Right.
yeah, basically
Exactly
the same
right.
thing. Right, yeah, basically the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, you get lucky and get a well company to come in there and sit on it. Which is not,
It's down to the point where you don't, all you have to do is have a gas line company or an Edison, Ohio Edison. I mean, they've paved a lot of roads in the area.
yeah, done it right.
Just on down this section.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know, we'll get Ram on that, but I do know it's gonna cost you a good bit of money, no
Right.
matter how you do it, in order to fix it.
Yeah.
Right. The other issue there, we discussed our last meeting was here about the 911 taking over the house numbers. That is exactly true, but it's not true either. They took it over because nobody was doing it here. I called Maggie McGee. I said, Maggie, I said, what in the world, how come you taking over giving out house numbers? I said, you do that? All the township zones? She said, you kidding me? She said, they don't allow you in their township. She says, only in the townships that they done that with, ones that's not zoned. Well, that's only a couple. And she said, well, we don't want to do it. We prefer somebody in the township do it. And I said, well, to the best of my knowledge, going on 6 years now, I think the first of each year, Todd's been assigned to giving out the house numbers. How many house numbers you given out in the last 6 years, Todd?
I'll tell you what, I couldn't tell you, the last 2 years, when the economy tanked, it got to the point where we weren't getting any calls. We've got an application online that they can fill out, and if they call in here, as soon as somebody calls and says they need a house number, I go out and verify where they're at. We charge the $15 like we did when you were in, that they get the green and white reflective letters. But there's never been one time that anybody's ever contacted us for a house number that I haven't gone out and done it. Now, Roger said with Matt, when he built his house, you can explain it better than I can.
I called Matt because I feel Matt's number's wrong. Because he's approximately a quarter mile off of 45. And his number is 11445 or something, I don't know what he told me. And I says, where'd you get your house number? He says, I'm guessing the contractor went up there and he come home with it, hey, the building permit with the house number on it. So he must got it in the building department.
Well, that's an issue that she told me about. She said that's the reason why we would prefer the township do it. They hired somebody, and I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe she told me there's companies out of state that gives the house numbers. She says it's a simple darn thing to do. She says anybody that gets a permit who's going to build a house is already contracted a contractor or anybody. There's a red spot on the computer. You get into Mahoning County or the builders or whatever you get into, whatever. And They'll have a number, the first number where there's a residence to the right, one to the left. And all you gotta do is put one, whatever number you want in between. She says, it's simple, but they don't do it. They hired it, and I'm pretty sure she told me it was a company out of state to do it. And she said, well, the only reason why we're doing it, because the townships weren't doing it.
No, hey, we've never ever, since I've been here, I've never ever not gone out and assigned a number. When somebody calls, I drive out to where they're building and find out exactly where the drive's going to be, where the house is going to be. I call them on my cell phone when I'm sitting right there on the road. Verify the numbers to the right, the numbers to the left, and that's how I sign the numbers, but I had never ever refused or not done it.
I went to the building department first, after I started, and they said, no, we do not do it. They said we do planning.
Yeah.
I went to planning, they said, no, we don't give out the numbers. They're the ones that give me Maggie's number, and said that Maggie gives all the numbers out. So
Well, I talked to Maggie personally, I know her, I was there when she got hired. And I said, Maggie, I said, I don't understand why you're getting, she says, well, we don't want to, they're not doing it. So, I mean, that's exactly, you know, and
you guys went through the
They,
common.
you know, yeah, but they being probably the contractors.
Well, that might be it.
It's not us.
Right, yeah.
Because the 911 went in, the master street address guide, I had that sent to me, and I had to go every street in the township from one end to the other. I had to verify the beginning address, the ending address, correct anything in between that wasn't right. And we know what Stratton Road's like. We know Fink's house on Sechrist. You've got a 10,000 number in the 9,000 block. That's why I'm adamant. When somebody calls, I drive out there and I talk to them on the phone to find out, because they can have a 5-acre lot, but I want to know exactly where the drive's going to be and the house is going to be, so they are getting the correct address.
Because you should have a different number, what, every 5.28 feet or something like that?
yeah, well, she said it's very simple to do, and you don't need to go anywhere. You can do it right in your house on the computer.
We had, Tom and I were here when the woman from 911 was here about their address portal. And she showed us how they do it up there. You know, they just go, they bring it up on satellite and they put a dot here and then it assigns a number. But there again, if you have a 5-acre lot, that house number could be wrong because they don't know exactly where the house is going to go on that lot. They'll just shooting a number.
Yeah, it could go all to the west or the east or
Right.
something.
And you know, especially a corner, when you have a lot that's on a corner, I also verify which way the house is going to set and which street, which road the driveway is going to go off on.
That lady who was here, she's probably the one from the company that's out of state that you're talking.
I thought she was with 911, wasn't she, Tom?
She was with some mapping company, but
So
I think she was from out of state, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Well,
And that's probably, because Maggie said, she thought maybe, I'm thinking she told me it was an out-of-state company, and I said, well, you know, it's not.
I like doing it also because they have a house number to put up once we assign it,
Right.
once we give them a number. Because to me, I know when I was on the police department, the fire department, you know what it's like when you go out there and you don't have
Yeah,
numbers.
right, they gotta be right.
Right. But I mean, even when they don't have it posted, that's why we like to do it, so that they have that sign from the routines, the reflective letters that tells them, this is your address. And, if they have that, the more apt to put it up if you hand it to them.
Well, I think you can straighten it out by calling up there to Maggie and say, by the way,
I did try to call her today, and they were closed today. I didn't realize they were closed for Columbus Day.
I'm the person that gives out the house numbers, and here's my number, and call me. And not say, because the way she's doing it now, she passes off this company out of state because she was claiming that you guys weren't giving them out.
No, that's not true.
The reason, that was the only reason why that they even started giving them out, or was assigning them. They actually wasn't even doing it.
If I recall, the woman out of state said that they had 911 was assigning the house numbers because there were too many numbers that were wrong, and because they had the satellite, they can sit down and look at a parcel and punch a dot on a computer and say this is which number is going to be. They figured out it's going to be more accurate. But I still think you need to go out there and verify where the driveway and the house is going to be so that you can get the numbers right. Because if you have a 5-acre or 10-acre lot, 10 years from now, let's say somebody else doesn't buy it just like Herbert's, and then they turn around and split it and sell another piece off, you want to make sure that the numbers are assigned so that you don't get into an issue where when another house goes in, you can't assign a number without being out of sequence.
Yeah, well, I understand how it sounds, I just feel like some of the state coming out and doing it.
No, I agree.
Because I
Sounds
see
like
what.
the building department needs to understand who to call.
Well, that's what
Sounds like whoever's
Yeah.
handing out the building permits isn't, is just saying, well, nobody's doing it, we'll give it somewhere else. Instead of them knowing and being told by Maggie McGee or somebody,
Yeah, right.
you need to call the township, you know, if it's, I mean, I've dealt with the building department over there, and, you know,
Just like
yeah,
that number, I'm guessing, I would say it's $200 to $300. I mean, it should be a lower number than what he's got, because he's not that far off of 45.
Well, he's quite a ways up to there. There'd be a lot of lots around here. Not 200.
Because I'm pretty sure he told me his number was 11,400 something. But, like, Jared's over there, that's 3,000 on it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
He's out of the township.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right at 45 on any of the east-west roads, the very first address we could have, if it was right on the corner, would be 10,900. I remember that from the Master Street address guy. And then it would go up from there. So if it's 11,400 something, it's,
Because I'll have to talk to Megan, because I asked him what Mike was, and he says, oh, I think it's 11,700. Well, you know, that should be over a half mile, and
Yeah,
it's
right.
not.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
Same driveway, but once you get ahold of Maggie,
I'll try again
yeah.
tomorrow, because today I didn't realize their offices were closed.
I've got a meeting at Austin Town tomorrow anyhow, same building as the building department, so
Okay.
I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna give them all your contact information and tell them how well they can do it, but I'm gonna tell them that really they shouldn't give out any building permits without getting a number.
Right,
from
because the
us
numbers are
first.
assigned are the
Yeah.
sequence, and I don't like to see that, because, yeah, it's right for the fire department, it's right for the police department.
So I'll give them all your contact information at the building department. Get old Maggie, maybe between the two of them, we can get that, something started up there, so.
But what we do, Abe, is they fill out the permit, which we do that so that I take that out, it has all their information, I call them, verify exactly where they're building, assign them a number, I put the number on the permit, I give it to Tom so he can enter it into our book, and he forwards the money to the hurricanes, the sign comes in with a letter with the address on it, and they get it. I mean, we try to do it right, you know, when they circumvent us. We don't know until one of us drives through and we see something being built, we have no idea.
Yeah.
I'll have to look. I don't know if there's a mail. I'm trying to think of some other there's the new house down there on Dave Herbert's, and I don't know if they have a mailbox out there or not. Jim's saying no. I just, you know,
You want to be careful they don't try to keep their same address because they're not in the same house.
With 911 now, you're not allowed to use A and B addresses anymore either.
They got to have a new house number.
Yeah.
well, Dave's number was on Garfield,
Yeah.
and
His mailbox is on.
the new house is on Ductor.
Another one to check would be Jack and Joe's son-in-law and daughter.
No, I signed them a number.
Oh, yeah, there's a box there.
I called them and
But they called me and I thought, I want to make sure.
No, I took care of that one.
Yeah,
All right.
Jeff, you Mel,
Yeah.
Yes, the number.
Okay. Just trying to think of the other new homes around, but that's just one that popped up. But
What the health department they come up with then on something for this roof here, you said.
We're still waiting to see if there's going to be funding available through the Appalachian Regional Council.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, Todd?
I'd like to thank Paul for the way he handled the tire recycling drive and the electronics drive. I think it was very well organized. We had a good turnout. The customer appreciation, I thought, went very well. I'd kind of like to see us send a thank you letter to Paul's daughter and Jessica and Lori for helping out for volunteering. But Paul, I think you did a great job. I appreciate it. And the other thing I had would be salt. ODOT now has secured salt from a company out of Indiana for $105.25 a ton. Initially, the paperwork that was sent out said that you had to pick it up at ODOT, one of the local ODOTs. They would load your trucks, but there were no scales. One of the biggest issues was exactly how much salt were you really getting, unless you went to Agland or somewhere to weigh every load. Now what they're going to do, if you decide to purchase, they will deliver it to your facility so you have the weight slips. The trucking company's going to bring it right to you. But it's still $105.25 a ton, which you're looking almost 4 times what it was last year. You have until, I think it's early to mid-November to commit to it. You don't have to take a minimum tonnage, but whatever you say you want, they would prefer that you take it, because they don't want you saying, I want 50 tons of salt, and it comes down to it and you say, well, I'm going to take 5 tons because that's salt that could have been allocated to somebody else. But it's still a heck of a price. And basically that's all I've got.
How much salt do we have in the building in our storage right now, Jim? I mean, we're
I don't know. I have to get the paperwork and look.
pretty much full though, basically.
No, I could probably fit another 100 ton in there. I'm full grit, but not the salt. I got what I was allocated, and you guys said not to order anymore, so didn't get any more.
Now, what's in there, Jim? That's half ours and half our own? Or
Roughly.
you got a rough idea of what?
Yeah, I got it wrote down, but roughly half ours, half our own.
I think people are going to be surprised this winter because it's not just the small townships, but all over.
It's everywhere.
You're not going to see the salt put down that there has been, because none of the municipalities can really afford it.
No.
And it's going to be a lot more scraping and more grit.
And now the issue is, a lot of the stone plants, they realize that supply and demand and the grit's going way up, and from what I've talked to stone operations at the plants, they might put a hold on it after the first of the year. So, I mean, we're full now. We're going to kind of play it as the winter goes and see what we get into.
That's all we can do at this point.
Yeah. We just can't afford to buy and put down what we have to.
No.
And the price is what it is.
No.
I mean, I'll try to make do with what we have, but I can't make any guarantees. I'm not a weatherman. I mean, we're not going to know until after it happens.
You heard what the county's doing on their purchase, they buying in this expensive salt? Or?
I don't think they're purchasing any more salt than what they have now, the way it sounds. County's pretty much said people are just going to have to learn how to drop on slippery ridges from it because they can't afford it either. What Pat Piccinetti has said is if they pay the price that's needed for the salt, don't look for any road repairs next year because the money's not going to be there.
Correct.
We know what that's like because that's what hurt us this year. Nobody anticipated the kind of winter we had last year. You never know. Because it wasn't only just the cost of overtime, the salt, and grit, but look at the winter. We do our roads also. We had a lot more money in repairs than we anticipated because of the cost of it. You never know.
My only issue is, every year we start out with the reserve from the year before, and if we use everything this winter, we're going to have to bite the bullet and purchase somewhere, to get started with next year. So somewhere along the lines, we're going to have to allocate some funds for next year because we got to figure something out.
Well, next year, I think we'll have to look a little closer at the summer contract when they have it again. Because I know summer contract this year is $41 a ton, and a lot of people are complaining. That's last year they're paying $27.50, and they didn't order because they thought it was going to be cheaper. Then it turned out it was 4 or 5 times higher than last year.
Well, we got what we could off the summer,
Right.
and
Right.
what we could afford, basically.
Right.
Not knowing where it was going to go. I mean, nobody expected to see that. So.
And discussing with other municipalities and everybody else, there's answers, there's other ways to go, but you're going to spend more in setting up a truck to use another source of de-icing than just buying the salt. So I mean, I don't see that being cost effective for us at all.
And then you've got to have a place to store it, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to have it trucked in, and they said the same thing's happening with the heat juice, that's happening with the grit and everything else. Supply and demand,
Yep.
the prices on all that's going up now also.
Roger.
Now, the only thing, I was supposed to get in contact with the people that bought Dave Herbert's house, and I have not been able to find them at home, and I did talk to Susie Laura, and she says there's very seldom any movement there. And I don't know, she says Dave has gone down and talked to people, so maybe I'll stop and talk to Dave and see if
You might know.
get a phone number
Yeah.
that I could
Contact.
but I've stopped 3 times and I can't. Other than that, that's, I think, all I have.
Okay. Well, as everyone knows, we put the gas aggregation on the ballot here in November, and they have to hold a public meeting. We've set up a public meeting Tuesday, October 21st at 7:30 over at the Damascus Fire Station. And that's going to be for Goshen, Butler, and Knox. All the townships put together. That's why we picked the Damascus location. So, suppose they're going to take about an hour for the presentation they're putting on.
What time does it start?
7:30.
7:30.
Brother Fargo's putting it on. She's the one that did the electric aggregation. We did that here a few years back.
You need to have anything set up for your form or anything, you know?
Just probably head table and chairs is all we need.
Okay.
I talked to the lady's name the other day, and she got all the information.
Okay. I mean, because we got chair, I mean, we needed video or something, or...
Yeah, now, he expects about 20-25 people. We don't think many are going to show up. So
Yeah, and we got chairs and tables and
something that has to be done.
restrooms and everything in there, so...
Make it a
whatever
public
we need.
meeting, so,
Hey, sure Kevin puts that in the paper,
yeah.
maybe Tom put it on the website.
Right, and they're going to actually put it out too on advertisements, I believe. I don't know if we got a wholesale yet or not, because they're going to get all the papers, but their blurb of how they're going to put it out there, so something we had to do, so. I was just to find the location. Okay, and I give you guys a copy of the contract for the police protection from Greens.
Yeah.
To look over. Tom, we found one typo error, was the only thing we found on it. All the changes were made, I think, from what we had talked about at the meeting over there. Everything looks good, guys. We're sent to the prosecutor, but she wanted to make sure we didn't want any changes, that she's going to go through it, and we can get it back and sign it at the next meeting. November's meeting's fine for that, so everything looked fine to me for it. It was a 3-year contract, so I'll just send it to her and we'll put that on next month's agenda. Yeah, we'll go to the next meeting, put on the change. Armstrong AT&T update, that was about the cables over driveways and so forth, especially one on Duck Creek Road. Armstrong got back to me within a few days. Theirs isn't the lowest line, it's an AT&T so far hasn't got back to me or Armstrong, either one, both of us have contacted, so they've got to move theirs first. Armstrong says they might have to move theirs up before the AT&T, but until AT&T contacts someone, it's sort of a whole time.
Okay.
And Tom and I got an email, I'll give you guys a copy. copy there, there's Ways and Means Committee on the severance tax on gas and oil wells. If it passes with the current language, the first 21 million goes to ODNR, second 10 million of well head gross receipts per whole head will be exempt from the severance tax. Number 3, 8% will be shared statewide throughout an income tax break. 4, last, maybe something will be left for areas experiencing damage from the drilling. And so basically they're suggesting us to either draft a letter or contact our state senators. My thought would be contact the state senators, especially right now would be a good time. They're all up for election. They might listen to us a little bit stronger now than other times. We have a couple local ones I think is pretty decent to listen to us. So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions on that or not.
I think we need to voice our opinion because it's not right the way we've got it set up.
No, definitely isn't the way it is now. So. No movement until after the November elections, but possibly it could be forced through the duck session, so.
Yeah, nobody's there to force the drill. Yeah.
It's going to affect townships and villages and cities more than anybody else, so. That's everything's I got.
Did you have anything on the grant application?
Oh, okay. Yeah, grant application. I do want to thank Todd. He went with me to the last presentation. And I think we are in the runnings. We're at 44 points before our last presentation there. So there's a lot lower, there's a lot higher, but I think we're falling right in the middle. And hopefully being with the safety net that we presented at presentation, that we get some decent points. I was hoping to see an update on the points before this meeting, but it hasn't been anything. Of course, today nobody was in the offices, so keep our fingers crossed that we'll get lucky on it. So. That's everything. Nothing else. Our next meeting will be November 10th, 2014 at 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn.
Now, second.
Roll call vote. Mr. Craig.
Yes.
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 Paul? See you before you go.